Hello. 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 Hi, Cleo.
How's it going?
Good, good. I was just setting up the LinkedIn live stream.
Okay, sweet. Um, I think, oh yeah, okay, for the panel,
Mhm.
I'm not sure if we'll have time for audience questions,
Yeah.
but did you want me to mention that or just like
Yeah, I don't think we'll have time. I'll probably just ask two or three questions. I was thinking the panel might just go for 20 minutes then, just
yeah,
because, yeah.
I think our predefined list of the three questions is probably good. Uh,
Yeah, I think that's good.
yeah, you have that in your script, right?
Yeah, I
Those.
have that in the script, and then I have one question like that. I just wanted to start off with a question that is like, oh, what's like an AI technology that was like kind of game changing or inspiring to you? So like each of them can quickly just like share one, because then I think that kind of just sets the tone for them, and then they're like, oh, like I really like this technology. And then I have the three questions. If we need to take out any of the questions, it might just be like the middle one. I'll just probably go
Mhm.
from there and see like the responses, to be
Yeah,
honest. Then I
and
think,
like the
yeah.
timing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. With the timing, we definitely, so with Paritosh's project taking more time, we probably want to go, yeah, to 210, just for some buffer room. and then yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So we have, I'm gonna pull up this schedule again just to make sure.
Wait,
hi Sophia.
Hey,
hi.
Sophia.
I'm so sorry I joined kind of early. I didn't expect this meeting to already be open.
No problem.
No, we're just chilling and making sure everything's in order.
We're just setting up. Yep. Yep. Very exciting.
Let's see. Symposium.
And then I have my slides, so I'll see how I can share those.
I think like I guess in terms of like how I'm supporting, I can just respond to things in the chat and like give
Oh
info
yeah.
on like
And then
open.
one thing is we might have some links to share in the chat.
Yeah.
So if you see the symposium slides I sent, so with chapter, for example, near the end with like chapter program starting, you
Mhm.
might need to put the link like for OpenNLPlabs.org chapters. It's in the speaker notes, like you
Yeah.
see here. Like not, let me delete the tally. So like for the ending slides and for our connect with us slides, I think also sharing links in the channel for our social media
Yeah.
channel would be, I think like sharing links might be helpful.
Do you want me to do that like during the welcoming?
Yeah, you can probably share the social media links during the welcoming and we'll share it again at the end.
Cool. Great. And I see the document that we had.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. And then yeah, so I'll share this when you get to talk about that. I'm pretty sure that's all we need, right? Yeah, I see the links.
Yep, I think that's all we'll need. And then I'll just invite members to present. I'll see if, so let's see if we can pin people. Okay, so let me try sharing my screen. The one problem is when I share my screen, it like when I do slideshow mode, it then goes into full screen and then I don't want it to be in full screen. So that's why I'm like, I don't know how I can, you
Wait,
know,
what
like
do you
on like what's it called? On Google Slides when I press like slideshow and presenter view, it like takes up my full screen.
Yeah.
So I can't even see the Zoom meeting. So I can't, but I
Uh,
don't want people to like, I
do you
want people
have
to just see that.
do you have a monitor or are you just on a laptop?
Yeah, I'm just on a laptop right
Okay.
now. So let me,
Would presenter view work? Like under slideshow, if you click that little button,
yeah,
if
that's
you
what I present. And then the problem is it goes into full screen after. Oh wait, no. This seems to work. And then how do I hide the,
you can just like delete it, I think. Like,
here, let me just share my full screen
Also,
then.
Sophia, just for your like information, it's quite quiet like when you're speaking right now.
oh
So I don't
no.
know if that's like gonna if you can change that for the presentation, but if not, then it's totally fine. We'll just turn up our volume.
No, yeah, I definitely can. It's just my
Okay.
mic is always low, like for some reason.
Okay, yeah, I hear you a lot better.
Okay.
How do I share? Why is it not showing? Okay, because like this is what
Hello.
happened when I went into presenter view. How do I get out of this? Okay, so I press this and I press,
And now we can see your whole like laptop screen.
yeah, that's, yeah, I'm just sharing this to debug.
Okay,
And when I
okay.
went to presenter view, it, I don't think this is what we want to show to people. So that, but when I do slideshow,
I
oh,
see
I
that.
guess
Yeah.
this works. I can kind of still see you guys. There's like this
Okay.
little
There's like
zoom.
a
Bar.
bar, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's like the bar. Okay, I can still see you.
That's a disembodied voice.
What?
Wait, yeah, Seth, where are you? Why is your face not showing up?
Oh wait. Oh, my camera is blocked. Hold on. Why does something silly always have to happen? Okay. Hold on. Let me turn it on.
It's not. It's like a plain background. I like the Zoom background though. It looks kind of nice.
It looks really good. I was
It's,
actually wondering about that, so I'm glad you said that.
I was like, yeah, no, I was like thinking about doing one, then I forgot to send one, and I was like, wait, shoot, we probably need, because then it looks very cohesive if we're all like in the same Zoom background. Then
Yeah,
it's very,
you look professional.
we look very professional. We look very unified.
Also,
Yeah.
I know it's recording right now, but if we publish this, we'll just like cut
We'll
this.
cut out, so with the LinkedIn Live, I don't think it automatically publishes, and then if we're publishing it on any platforms, we just won't publish Anshita's part.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. The
Wait,
LinkedIn Live
live
is just for
stream?
like going live on LinkedIn. I don't think it saves the video. And then we'll just have the recording for our purposes.
Cool.
Yeah. I'll
Okay.
just okay.
Um,
Good.
But I think like for the actual thing, I don't need to talk, right? Like for the
Yeah, I don't think so. I think I'll
nice.
probably try to moderate the speaker panel.
Should,
I
should
will
I
try to make you a co-host in case
okay.
something's
Should I
wrong.
put my title in my name? Like
Oh yeah, that
dash
might be nice.
program okay. And just
Okay,
like
I'm gonna make you a co-host.
my name.
I'll put my title. Okay.
Oh, could I test screen sharing real quick? Just
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
changing two
yeah.
presentations.
Go ahead.
Oh, the officer on your name, Supa, is like
Oh no, it's like weirdly
Oh, nice. It looks good.
Mhm. Are you
nice.
guys able to see like any of the other windows, or is it just the?
No, we can just see this
No.
tab.
Okay, that's great. Okay, sounds good. I'll try the canvas one.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay, looks like it's working.
I actually might do just CPO because it's kind of a long.
Okay.
Whoa, what? The translations are so clean. That
Yeah,
is
Wow, this looks
Merve's
so
and
cool.
spent a lot of time on this. Okay.
Whoa. Okay,
what?
do you guys have the video? So with the video for Yakula, is
Mhm.
Iris gonna just share her screen for that or?
I think so. Yeah, we've made a video, so like I think Iris will just pull it up.
Okay, that's good. And here, let me just test the link. Let me share my screen and just test how this works. Um,
Can I try sharing my slide after?
yeah, sure. Give me a second. Share. Okay, I just want to share this. And then I'm gonna remove this, and then I'm gonna press. Okay, and then I'm gonna press slideshow, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And let me check on the LinkedIn Live if we can. Or okay, why is the LinkedIn Live like frozen? Let me reload this. Stream health poor.
Uh-oh. If we don't have the bandwidth to stream on LinkedIn, I'm not sure.
I think honestly, it's probably fine if we don't do that.
It was working before. Wait, let me just. Why is this not? Okay. Hey Sean, thanks for joining. Wait,
Hi.
this was working like 1 second ago. Okay. Uh, it's like weird. I can see like a recording of what I did in the past. How do I see? Okay, I'm gonna try to debug that. How do I, okay. Manage, prepare to go live. And, okay, wait. Go live. Go live on custom streaming service. Okay. Okay, maybe we should ping. Maybe Cleo, can you ping the channel with like the link to the Zoom to? You can just ping everyone in the.
Yeah, just well, okay, the one you sent was it took me to like a registration page, so I'll just
Oh,
like,
yeah,
check it
you can.
for the link.
Yeah, the actual page you can
Do you want me
probably.
to do it in announcements?
Yeah, you can
Oh,
just.
I can't
Oh,
say anything in announcements.
can you send it in general then?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll fix your permissions after.
Should I at the channel?
I think you can do at everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Can I test my screen share real quick?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Looks good.
So I can see your kind of like full thing. It's showing
Yeah.
like the next slide and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, was it the wrong one?
Or it's correct, like it's showing up, but it's showing like the full.
Uh, that's weird. Wait, is it this one?
Let me just paste the Zoom link itself, and I guess people can register if they haven't. They should, yeah, they should have a link.
Hey, Shunchi.
Hi. Can you try changing your Zoom background to the
Can you provide the Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let me
it's
find.
in announcements. Maybe you can ping him with the
Yeah.
Yeah, I will pull it
thank
up.
you.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Can I try to share my
Yeah, you
slide
can
just
try.
for testing? I will change my background later. Just
Okay.
maybe
Give me a
take
second. I'm gonna go try figuring out the LinkedIn Live thing.
sure.
Hello, everyone. Just as you join, reminder to set your backgrounds to the OpenNLP image. You can find it in the Discord general channel. Yeah. Shunchi, how's it going on the screen sharing practice? You're muted. Yeah, you're muted.
I'm not sure. Let me. I didn't find the sharing thing widget. Okay,
It should be at the bottom. I think all participants can share.
there it
Yeah,
goes.
all participants can share.
Is it all good?
It looks good to me.
Yes, that looks good. I'm
I
just
guess
setting it to live.
I can't change the slide. I don't know why.
Have you tried arrow keys or just click? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. You can find the background image in the general channel on Discord. I just pinged everyone. Hi, David.
Hello, how are
Well, thanks. How are you?
you? I'm well.
Good. I don't know if you've met Suba yet. Suba, this
Hi,
is
David.
David.
So nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're really looking forward to it. Our team is just setting up, all of our presenters are setting up their backgrounds, but yeah, is there anything on your end that you wanted to
Oh,
check before?
I'm going to close my door. One second.
Okay, perfect. Shunchi, did you need any help on
All right.
anything?
And I'm trying to set, I think the LinkedIn Live is working, let me copy the link to the video and put it in the chat. Can you guys go to this event and see if it's working on your end?
Yeah. Yes,
It is working.
it
Oh,
is.
good.
But
Great.
do you think you can practice pausing it just for Anshida's?
Yeah. I can pause it. There's a way I can just do stop live stream and then it stops the live stream.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, I think that is working, and so that is great. Good, good, good. If anyone wants to practice sharing their slides, so it seems like Sophia's practiced for Simran's group and also for Yakula. So, and then I know Iris, you have a separate video to play for Yakula. So if you want to practice anything with that, feel free to share your screen and just practice setup. Yeah, very excited to have everyone though. We will get started shortly.
Yeah.
Really the schedule for the symposium. So at the start, I'll be just giving a short welcoming address. I'll just be, I don't know, welcoming everyone to join us. Then I'll have the mentors introduce themselves. Afterwards, we'll have Anshita speak. She's our keynote speaker for the symposium. And then we'll have our speaker panel with the 3 industry and research members. And then we'll have the students present at the end. So yeah, that's kind of the general schedule. I did share the entire schedule in announcements. The one thing is the order. So the order for presentations. So Yakula's project will be going first, then Simran's project will be going second, and then Paritosh and then Chris's project at the end. So yeah, just you can check the schedule there to make sure.
And maybe we stop the LinkedIn live stream until we
Yeah, until we get set up. Although
and
I'm scared that when I stop it, it will stop
That's
working.
fair.
So
But I think it's good to practice
yeah,
because we need
hopefully
to.
no one is watching too.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna practice and see if I can pin multiple people.
Oh yeah.
I'll just don't mind me, but add pin. Okay, great. So I'll do this for the panel.
Great.
And I'll
Okay,
just
so you
have-
can. But the person you pinned is not, it's not showing up for me as like
Oh,
you pinned. No.
okay. On my screen, I had 2 people pinned.
I think that just pins it for you.
Oh shit.
Here, I think there's a way here. Let me spotlight. Okay, now I spotlighted you forever. Can everyone see Cleo's face on the top?
Yes.
Oh, very nice.
Hmm.
Can
Oh,
everyone see both of us now?
oh,
Yes.
Okay,
great.
good. But spotlight and not pin. Good.
Okay, so we have to
Okay.
use spotlight.
Remove spotlight. Okay, wonderful.
Let me remove my spotlight. Wonderful. All right, so we'll be then in that case, what we can do is for the presentations, we can spotlight the speakers. So in that case, I guess I'm not sure about my slides.
Do you want to try sharing and then?
Yeah, let me try sharing my screen. Okay. All right, give me 1 second. Actually, let me try sharing my screen using Chrome, since I think that will be easier. Cleo, I think Anshita emailed that she doesn't have the link to join. Can you send her the registration?
Yeah, I'll send her.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm just setting up. If anyone wants to practice like sharing their screen or coordinating with their group, feel free to. I'm just gonna practice sharing my screen. Okay, great. And then let me try sharing my screen. And then, all right, it seems like can everyone see my
Yeah.
screen? Okay, great. And then let me practice spotlighting while sharing the screen. Okay, let's spotlight myself and let's spotlight Cleo.
Okay, good.
Great. So it seems like we're just pinned to the top then of
Yeah.
the
And for my view, it's to the side, but yeah, that's
to the
perfect.
side. Okay, great. So it
Yeah.
seems like that is working. And let me ensure that's also working on the LinkedIn Live.
Cool. Just for the Chrome thing, I can see the top bar. But I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
is there a way I can get rid of that?
If,
How do I get rid of the top bar?
is it in presentation mode?
Yeah, it is.
Press F11. Try pressing F11.
F11. View and
Or
then
full screen. Yeah. One full screen. Enter full screen.
enter full screen. No, that's
Oh, yeah, great.
okay. 1 second. Let me see. See, entering full screen. Okay, but let me press slideshow. Okay. Okay, great. Is this working then?
Yeah, that looks perfect.
Okay, great. Great. That sounds good.
Cool. Should we remove spotlights for now, just as
Yeah,
people?
let me remove the spotlight on you.
Cool.
And then remove spotlight. All right. That sounds good. Okay, great. It seems like some people are starting to join. And feel free to put your name or your title in your bio as well if you want to on Zoom. All right. Great, and then we'll get started shortly.
I see another one of our panelists, Jagat, has joined.
Oh,
Welcome.
hi Jagat. Thank you so much for joining.
Hello, Subha. Hello, Leo. Thank you for inviting me.
Of
Yeah.
course. Thank you so much for joining.
Sure.
We'll get started shortly. Really, the schedule, we're planning to first have our keynote speech, or first I'll be speaking to the team, and then we'll have our keynote speech and then the speaker panel. So very exciting things to come.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. And then one thing is I need to make sure the mentors are able to have the mentors joined yet because they will be speaking first. Maybe Cleo, if you could ping Simran and Merve is on the Slack channel. Hopefully they are joining soon.
Yeah, totally.
Great. And then I don't know if anyone can check if the LinkedIn Live is still working. I don't have the tab open.
It's looking good.
Okay, the live is working. All right. Great. Wonderful. It seems like, okay, do we have, okay, Merve, thank you for joining. Nice to see you. All right. Oop, okay. Let me go back. Unfortunately, I can't see everyone's pictures on Zoom. Let me see if I can. Hi, Anshita. Thank you for joining. Great to see you. All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for joining. We will get started pretty shortly here. Hi, Simran. Thank you for joining.
Hello.
So glad to have you here. We will be starting very shortly.
Yes.
All right. Right. And yeah, before we get started, I think in general etiquette, make sure to stay muted. Let me just make sure to mute everyone when it's not your turn to speak. And yeah, if you'd like to have your cameras on and you'd like to stay engaged, feel free to keep your cameras on. Feel free to keep your cameras off, and our presenters will be taking it from here. Seems like a lot of people have joined. I think I will get started then. So I'd like to formally welcome everyone to OpenNLP Lab's Global Symposium on Inclusive NLP. So before we get started, I'd just like to talk a little bit about our organization, our goals, and our mission. So, talking, I guess, in context of why we have our organization, we kind of stand at the intersection of technology and humanity, a place where our advancements in AI can directly influence the lives of those who need it. In recent times, our organization was formed to help multilingual speakers and refugees. 3 years ago, we were called Linguistics Justice League. Now, over the summer, we've rebranded to be called OpenNLP Labs. Now, these ongoing refugee crises from Syria to Ukraine have highlighted the urgent need for tools that can help displaced individuals navigate their world. At the same time, discussions of AI ethics and biases have surged, reminding us that technology is only as inclusive as the minds that create it. This summer, our incredible cohort took these challenges head on, collaborating with esteemed labs from Carnegie Mellon and Stanford and with startups like Yekola. They've embarked on projects that don't just push the envelope of what is possible in NLP, they redefine it with purpose and heart. Now, I'd like to give a brief overview of what we'll cover in the symposium. So let me go to the next slide. First, we'll have a mentor address where you can meet the mentors that made this symposium possible. Next, we'll have a keynote speech from Anshita, whose insights into inclusive AI will set the tone for our symposium. Then, we'll have a speaker panel with leaders Jagat, David, and Rajat, who will delve into the pressing topics of diversity in NLP and AI. And lastly, the part that you all are waiting for, the presentations from our students this summer. So before we get started, I would love for the mentors to introduce themselves. I'll have Simran go first.
Yeah, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, no
okay.
problem.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Simran. I'm a PhD student at Carnegie Mellon. I've been working with Professor Graham Newbig there. My research touches upon multimodal translation, and I think the volunteers will go deeper into a lot of what I work on in my research. But typically, when we think of machine translation, we've been building technology to translate between languages. But as and when our multimodal content is increasing online, there is a pressing need to even localize elements in the visual world. So that's primarily what I work on. And I've had a great time this summer working with all of the volunteers. We laid out a pretty concrete project, and we had a team of front-end developers, back-end developers, and I was very amazed to see the progress they made in like a short period of 2 to 3 months. So yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to collaborate. And yeah,
Thank you
thanks.
so much, Simran. We're so glad to have you this summer, and stay tuned for what the students will be presenting about. All right, I'll have Merve go next.
Hello, can you see me? Hear me?
Yep, we can see you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Merve. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Yekola. So I've been working various tech roles within tech startups, different roles like data analytics, revenue, and growth roles. Sort of what brought me here is to give a bit of a backstory. I was born in DR Congo and grew up in Canada. And, as any immigrant knows, trying to assimilate yourself here can come at a cost. You may lose your language and part of your culture. So when trying to relearn my native tongue, I quickly realized that there was lack of resources in that language, and then saw that there was a larger global problem with a group of languages called low resource languages. So me and my cousin and I, Joel, who are the co-founders of Yekola, went on to try to start off just a fun pilot where we would try to teach our language in Lingala, and within a few weeks, over 1,000 people showed up. So it quickly showed us that there was a need for learning low resource languages and to also just have tools necessary to get services in those languages. So we've created Yekola, which the cohort will present later, which focuses as a language exchange platform that also leverages AI to be able to preserve these languages. That's where OpenNLP summer cohort came in. You know, a lot of the passionate young volunteers helped us from the front end, back end, as well as building our AI models. So just want to give shout outs to members like Sophia and Iris who took ownership of their work, started leading their respective dev teams, volunteers like Murari and Sarah who helped us during big partnership meetings, and AI model improvement document feedback from the likes of Victoria, Seth, Yusuf, Brandon, Ishan for helping us build out this app. So it's been a tremendous pleasure working with the volunteers, and we hope to continue to support the work of OpenNLP in any capacity in the future. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much for introducing yourself, Merve, and we had a great time working with Yekola this summer. All right, so Chris and Paritosh unfortunately can't join us today, but I'd like to read what Paritosh wrote as well. So Paritosh mentioned that his project focused on political discourse analytics, which involves analyzing and understanding political language through natural language processing techniques. And kind of an introduction to Paritosh, he is a skilled machine learning and NLP scientist with experience in conducting research and development at the intersection of natural language processing, applied machine learning, and language science. Currently, he serves as a machine learning scientist at PayPal as part of the Global Analytics and Data Science group. He also holds a Master of Computer Science from the University of Buffalo, New York University. And he mentioned that OpenNLP offers a unique vision for growth, and his take on the inaugural cohort, he mentioned that it introduced students to novel concepts and encouraged them to expand their knowledge and develop in respective fields. So that's Paritosh's address. All right, great. So we will hear more from the mentors and students during the student presentations, but without further ado, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker, Anshita. So I will provide a brief introduction. So Anshita is a dedicated advocate for inclusive AI. As a member of the technical staff at OpenAI, she's currently working on removing barriers to AI products like ChatGPT for people to benefit from. She also leads Wiser AI, an initiative she founded to empower marginalized genders in computer science in shaping ethical and responsible AI. She's previously been recognized for her STEM community contributions as a recipient of the NCWIT AIC Impact Award and as a Coca-Cola Scholar. So I will now stop my presentation and give Anshita the floor.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for the intro. And we can keep the recording going on, that's okay. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Okay, awesome. Yeah, hi everyone. Can everyone see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Hi everyone, I'm super excited to be here. OpenNLP is an awesome initiative, and it's just so cool to hear about all the work that has been done this summer and even before that. Yeah, super excited to be here. And basically today, I just want to share some of my thoughts on how my path in CS went. I have been involved in research and in the industry and have taken away some learnings from my different experiences over the years that I'd love to share with you all today. So Supa gave a great introduction, but I'll just touch on a few key points here again. Hi everyone, my name's Anshita. I'm a current member of technical staff at OpenAI. I just recently graduated from UT Austin this past May. So hook 'em if there's anyone from UT here. I'm an advocate for ethical and inclusive AI, and previously I've been involved in multimodal retrieval and mobile healthcare research. So I want to talk a little bit about my beginnings in CS and how I got involved in research. So my freshman year of high school was the first time that I ever got involved in a research project. And the way that this happened is that I was looking around and I found this lab at the University of Washington that was doing some really interesting work in mobile healthcare. And they were doing diagnoses of diseases and other things like that just through mobile phones and helping impact areas where people don't have access to very expensive medical resources and things like that. So that really spoke to me. And it turned out that they had a summer internship for high schoolers, and I just went ahead and applied. I didn't expect to hear back or get in because at this point, my only CS experience had been in my class at school, APCS. And I think the only thing I'd done up till then was like code a boggle game or something like that. It was very early on in my freshman year. So I applied and I somehow landed the opportunity. And over the summer, we worked on this really cool project. That's actually the visual over here on the right side. So the project was this mobile healthcare project where we were trying to detect activity for people that were either obese, disabled, or elderly and couldn't do normal forms of fitness, just like walking. So essentially, we were trying to monitor different types of exercises that these types of folks do with their upper bodies. So, for example, like curling cans or like doing like different upper body like arm raises and things like that. And so we wanted to monitor those types of exercises with just your phone. And the way that we did this was through Doppler sensing. So basically, what this image is showing is that the phone emits a very, very high pitched sound that the human can't hear. And when the human is performing different activities, that sound gets reflected back to the phone. And so through that and different machine learning techniques, we were actually able to count repetitions and classify a bunch of different exercises. So that was kind of the first project that got me into research. And I want to talk about my 2 takeaways from that experience. So my number one takeaway was that I learned that I need to aim to do hard things. And I think that this is a takeaway that sounds pretty obvious, but I think the key point here is aiming to do things that are harder than what you think you can currently do. So like I mentioned, at that point, all I'd done in CS, or the most complicated thing I'd done in CS at that point, was just code a boggle game. And I kind of threw myself headfirst into this research project and wasn't really sure where to go at first, right? So the first day when I got the description of this project, Doppler sensing, machine learning, all these different terms that I was not familiar with, I was really overwhelmed. But over time, by just pushing myself to take that opportunity, I was able to learn and grow and come out of the experience with a really cool project that I was really motivated by. My second takeaway from this was being impact driven. I think that when I used to think about CS, it was just about building games and different things like that. But what I found with this project was that I was actually able to make an impact on people on people of the populations that I described before. Obese, disabled, and elderly populations can now record their activities in a really meaningful and impactful way for them. And this was really a huge turning point for me because I realized that what I want to do with CS is solve problems in the community around me. And that was what really started shaping my journey from the beginning. So I think that the takeaway that is more general and not specific to my path is that finding a problem that you're very interested in or finding a subset of people that you care about solving a problem for is a really good way to guide your experiences and guide where you want to take your career. So that was my first experience with research, and there were some brief mentions to it, but I got involved in a second research project through high school, which was more of a stroke screening project. I'm not going to go into too much detail there, but essentially what I took away from high school was that I was really interested in research, and I wanted to explore more in college and see where things took me. So in college, one thing that I really wanted to focus on was just growing my skills, both technically and my soft skills. I think that college is, as it says here, it's the one phase where you're really free to focus fully on your growth. You can explore different opportunities without feeling like you need to constrain yourself to one path. And maximizing your learning years at this point is really important for those of you who are still in college or towards the end of college. So what I did to maximize my learning years in college was experience the broadest variety of things that I could. And so I got involved in the industry through different internships, and I also got involved in research through my senior thesis, which I'll talk about a little more later. But starting with my internships, so the way that I got involved in the industry was my first year, freshman year of college, I landed an internship at Meta, and I was a software engineering intern there working on compilers because that was my interest at the time that I really wanted to get involved with. I think once I landed that first opportunity, things became a lot easier from then. I then went on to intern at Google and Netflix, and then I think those internships eventually helped me land this opportunity at OpenAI, where I currently am. But my takeaway from all of those internships was that I really enjoyed working in a product-focused and customer-focused situation. So as I mentioned, at Meta, I worked on compilers, and then later at Google, I actually worked on Google Cloud, where I was interfacing with a feature that would directly impact our customers of Google Cloud Platform. And then finally at Netflix, I did a little bit more of less product-facing work, and I was working on the networking layer of things. And so what I took away from my internship at Google, as well as my previous research experiences, was that I really like having a focus on building things that I know someone is going to see and interact with and use. And so that's something that I realized I was passionate about. And it was something that I didn't exactly find in research, but I found something else that I liked in research. So my senior thesis was on multimodal dense retrieval using OpenAI's CLIP model. And so just a little bit of detail there. Essentially what we were trying to do is do better image to text retrieval. So if you type in some text and you're trying to get the right image from, let's say, 10 different images. So if I type in like, give me an image where there's a dog with 3 apples around it. How do we make sure that we're actually retrieving the right image out of a larger set of images? That's a pretty simple multimodal retrieval problem, but getting into the details of it is actually a little more complicated. There's a lot of different ways to figure out how we encode our text captions and how we encode our images to ensure that we're getting the right match at the end of it. So that was what my research was about. And what I really liked from that experience was that I was able to own a project end to end. So, starting with just a blank code repository, nothing there, we eventually started working with OpenAI's CLIP model and changing different aspects. That's a transformer-based model. So we were changing different aspects of it to make it better. And just having full ownership over a project is something that's really unique to research and something that I really enjoyed. But there are a couple of learnings that I think are applicable to both internships and research that everyone can kind of take away. So one key thing that I realized is that adaptability and confidence is the biggest thing that you can carry with you. So for me, going into both research and internships, I found myself on teams that were very male dominated. And a lot of times, another experience that was shared between both of those was that there weren't always people around ready to offer help. So I think especially in research, professors are super busy, grad students have their own projects to work on, and a lot of times you might be faced with a problem that you don't know how to solve, and there's no one who can really tell you how to solve it. And so I think in these cases, that's where adaptability and confidence comes in. Having the confidence to take on a problem that seems unsolvable and just looking around and digging deep into code is a skill that you need to hone. And it's a skill that I was not very good at to begin with, quite frankly. But something that I learned over time was that just persevering and giving time to a problem. For example, going through different code repositories related to the problem that you're working on, finding other articles about related topics might even help you discover a solution to what you're looking for. The second thing that I learned from these was to build a strong support network. I think having a strong network can take you far in so many different ways. So whether that's finding other students around you that are applying to similar internships and sharing your learnings and how you're preparing, or if it's finding a mentor who can help guide you through what you're optimizing for in the next phase of your career, building a network can take you very, very far. I also got my first internship through a referral. And so finding people that are able to lead you towards more opportunities is a very good way to find what you're looking for. My third takeaway sort of relates back to that very first research project I did in high school. Being proactive and seeking out opportunities is the best thing you can do for yourself. I really think that the more doors you knock on are the more doors that will open for you. And so in my case, that meant, again, going for things that I didn't know if I was ready for. So for example, even with a second research project in college that I worked on, when I first came and was talking to the professor, he asked me if I'd ever worked with transformers and LLMs. and I hadn't, and I told him so. But I also told him that I'm a really quick learner and that I would try to pick things up as we went along. And so he gave me a chance at it, and I had a great experience working on my thesis throughout that year. And I wouldn't have if I didn't go for that opportunity. Okay, so really quickly touching on what I'm doing now post-grad. So I just started, as I mentioned, as a member of technical staff at OpenAI. I started just about over a month ago. It's been about a month and a half now. I'm on the ChatGPT growth team. And so what we do is work on removing barriers for free and paid users to use ChatGPT. And we also make sure that we're keeping our GPU utilization as low as possible while we're doing that. So I've been given a lot of responsibility and a lot of things to work on already as just a new grad. And the biggest takeaway that I have from this experience now is that finding a place that allows you to have the independence and scope to grow is really important. I think that at other companies that I've worked at, sometimes intern projects are a little smaller or a smaller part of a bigger product. But at OpenAI, I really feel like I'm given the flexibility to ask for more and deliver more and just keep growing as fast as I can. And that was something I was really looking for in my post-grad job. Okay. One last point that I wanted to come back to is after all of this, I've been talking about maximizing opportunities for yourself and going for the best thing. But I think one thing that's really important to also think about is giving back. So how can you help others overcome challenges that you've observed either in your own journey or in others' journeys? And so for me, one of the things that I'm really interested in working on is helping support underrepresented people in AI and CS in general. I've been involved with a lot of different nonprofit and community-related initiatives throughout the past few years. And currently, as Suba mentioned, I'm the founder of this nonprofit, Wiser AI, where we're focusing on supporting underrepresented minorities in AI. I think that when you find, again, a problem that you're passionate about, also finding the ways that you can help other people solve that problem is a very important thing to do. All right, thank you so much for listening. It was great to be here and have this opportunity. If you want to connect with me, I'm happy to answer any further questions on LinkedIn or on Twitter. I just started using Twitter recently. And also, if you're interested in advocating for inclusive AI as well, definitely reach out. This is I put my email here on the screen, and I would love to work with any of you all, and I'm super excited to see all the different projects at OpenNLP. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Anshita, for that wonderful speech. I know it was really interesting hearing about how you're working on both research projects and industry projects and balancing both of those to your time in college. I know a lot of our volunteers have also been doing the same, either working on research or industry projects as part of our cohort and kind of figuring out the next steps of where to go from there post-grad. So thank you so much. And I also really liked how you mentioned the CLIP models in your thesis statement. One of our projects is actually using that model, Simran's project. So I'm sure they'll be very excited to hear about that. But yeah, thank you so much. All right, and I think now we will transition to our speaker panel. And great. So before we get started with our speaker panel, Cleo is going to share links to our LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter so you can stay connected with us. We'll be posting an update to the symposium after it's done, and we've also been posting regular updates to other events and products that we make and host. So please stay connected with us on those channels. All right, but without further ado, let me share my screen again, and we will meet our panelists. All right, let me go here. And then, all right, so you guys, can everyone see my screen? Is it good? It's just my full screen.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. And then I think David and Rajat and then Shagat, let me also add a spotlight for you. All right, thank you so much, panelists. First, I'd like to introduce all of our panelists, so I'll read your introductions and then we can get started with a couple of questions. So first, I'll introduce Rajat. Rajat has experience working at AWS and Amazon, where he contributed to building services for internet optimization, AWS networking, and traffic optimization processes. He has also worked on digital ordering, subscription, and storage systems at Amazon, focused on large-scale distributed systems. Rajat holds a master's in computer science from the University of Texas at Arlington and is passionate about the intersection of software engineering and AI, particularly in the application layer of AI. Welcome, Rajat. All right. Hello, so great to have you here. Now, I think I'll introduce Jagat. Professor Jagat Challa is an assistant professor at the CS department of Birla Institute of Technology and Science, Pilani, India, so BITS Pilani. He works in the areas of big data analytics, AI/ML applications, and AI for education. He is a passionate teacher and enjoys teaching fundamental courses to undergraduate students. Thank you so much. Welcome, Jagat. So glad to have you here. All right, and lastly, I'll introduce David. David has been fortunate to work in the C-suite and the trenches, writing waves of tech innovation from developer tools and database systems to avatars and AI. He has helped grow 7 startups, 2 of which he co-founded, the last 3 focused on voice, symbolic, and agentic AI. Along the way, he built the first customer service team at Netflix, launched some of the earliest VR/AR authoring tools, and sold software in over 100 countries and contributed to frameworks for AI policy. We're so glad to have you here, David. Thank you for joining. All right, so let me pause my screen share and we will start with a couple of key questions. So for to start, I just wanted to say, because our theme is around AI innovations, and our students have also been developing various different products, I was wondering, for all of the panelists, what recent AI innovation or breakthrough made you kind of step back and say, wow, this is truly game-changing? Or was there a particular moment of discovery that maybe genuinely inspired you or surprised you in this field in the last couple of years? Yeah, not sure who wants to go first. Maybe.
I can go first, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think OpenAI's development in the field of AI has not only inspired me, I think everyone else. What we have been seeing, like people are, becoming more productive. They have at least a tool that they earlier did not have with respect to, like, they can improve their communication styles. They can work on their thesis better, and they can, use those models to help elevate their skills. So I think that is the foremost and the most critical example that I can give you right now, and I've been using it really aggressively, and it is helping me a lot in order to help me in any kind of topic, any kind of research that I wanted to do. So I think that is the one example that I would like to mention. So
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely agree. I remember it was just a few years ago when ChatGPT was released to the public, and it seems like it's been so long since then with many other companies creating their own LLM. So I would say I definitely agree the rise of LLMs has been a very, very prominent one. Anything else either of you would like to add?
May I go next?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So being from computer science background, being a professor in computer science, one major use case where I have been or my students have been using ChatGPT or any other LLM for that sake is coding, programming. So it made programming way easier. At the same time, there are challenges that it is killing the creativity of students in making efficient programs sometimes.
Right.
But however, ChatGPT or any other LLM has helped in rapid development of applications at maybe 10x, 20x, depending upon case to case. And we are also trying to leverage OpenAI APIs to build products that can support educators, that can support students in enhancing their learning and effectiveness of teaching for the educators. Even that is one interesting use case I see, and that will benefit a large countries like India, where we have large population and quality education is not available to everyone. Yeah, that is one thing which I foresee.
Oh, that's great to share. And one follow-up I had, I know you mentioned how you were talking about ChatGPT and AI use in the classroom. I know as a professor, how do you regulate that use of AI in your classroom? Well, you said it could be a tool, but you also mentioned that it might kill creativity for students. So what, I guess, do you find that right balance between students using it as a tool, but not, copying off of it?
Correct. So what I do is, for example, I am teaching a course on programming, let's say data structures, in which it is heavily relying on programming. So we have components which are takeaway to home,
Right.
where they are free to use ChatGPT, and we have components where they have to attempt in a controlled environment in a laboratory where internet is not on, but it's still an open book test wherein they can see the syntax of the programming language, they can bring their textbooks, have the concepts and design programming solutions. So in that way, we are giving students both the opportunities. One is to use ChatGPT and improve upon their skills of using Gen AI to build products. At the same time, we are making sure that they learn the fundamentals very clearly, that they are able to do without using ChatGPT also. If the model is like this, then usage of ChatGPT or usage of any LLM becomes as a supplementary thing, and it enhances our productivity rather than overtaking our creativity. That is one thing which I practice in college. Yes.
Well, thank
You
you
know,
for
if I could,
sharing that. I
if
like
I
that.
could comment
Yeah.
on that, I think that's a insightful and it's a brilliant approach and very necessary. I would say it's um, it's unfortunate, but it may not be the case that that occurs outside of academia as much as it should. I recently had so I was advising a startup that focused on an AI technology that was based upon a symbolic approach, a unique linguistic framework. It was not an LLM, it was not a machine learning based approach, although we utilized that for populating a linguistic system, not training really. The question as LLMs launched in the last few years was, how do you continue to compete? Do you complement? Do you pursue hybrid approaches? Because obviously ChatGPT is amazing, and so are all the other systems. I mean, they suddenly, rather than teaching something how to respond to a question, it can write a research paper for you or code, right? So it's amazing, and yet they have clear issues, limitations, costs. So I was tasked with doing some quick research on the intersection between policy changes that are occurring with respect to safety and bias, et cetera, and the advantages that our approach might have, right? So explainable AI intersecting with symbolic AI intersecting with policy changes. That's weeks of work with expensive resources, because you've got Gartner is not free, Forrester research packages are not free, and just calling everybody who's building anything is difficult, right? Or you can go talk to ChatGPT or Claude or Pi from Inflection, and in a couple days do a significant amount of work, iterating to verify that you're being, no, that's not true. These people don't exist. They never wrote that paper, was part of the process. But the problem is when I finished and I had this useful piece of, 18 pages, and I'd learned a lot. I had not hired 4 interns. I had not trained a middle manager on research, analysis, presentation, summarization, prioritization. And so where are people going to get those skills, let alone jobs? I mean, if it's done for us, right? So that's my big concern.
Right. No, I think that's definitely a concern in what you mentioned about jobs and automations. If we can just ask, some sort of chatbot or some sort of LLM to do that task that the interns or other researchers could do, how can we balance that? And that's kind of one thing I wanted to touch upon as well. Like, what do you, I guess, like, as an open question to the panel, kind of bouncing off of that, what's something that do you think, I think there's a lot of talk about like AGI and like general intelligence, but do we even think that's something that's achievable, or do we think that there's something, I guess, like inherent about humans that, I mean, obviously there's something inherent about humans that LLMs or different services can't replicate. So I think I'm wondering your thoughts on whether even AGI is even possible, or your thoughts on the topic as a whole.
Same order?
Yeah, same order is good. Maybe Rajat, or if you wanted to.
Yeah, I
I know
cannot.
it's a tough topic.
It's really tough question to answer whether AGI is possible or not. But like, I think we should believe in that it should be possible. That's what I believe in, and maybe we will encounter a lot of challenges that we are going through with the development of these AI LLMs right now. But I do believe it is possible with the advancement of technologies. We were never sure, because before the development of these neural nets and LLMs, we were not sure whether we could have something like this. So it's always, we're gonna get something new that we never expected. It's with every kind of technology, whether it is mobile phones, building AI LLMs, chatbot agents. So I do really believe it is possible, but we might encounter a lot of challenges in between towards that path. For example, you can say we don't have like diverse set of data collection and representation for all the groups in our society. So yeah, that's what I say is the main challenge that we're going to see, because when AI systems are trained on biased or non-representative data, they are more likely to produce biased outcomes, leading to unfair treatment or exclusion of certain groups. So I think that would be the foremost challenge that I would say, but I do really believe it is possible, and we might be able to get AGI. I don't know, like what is the time frame that we're gonna build it in. So yeah, that's my thought on it.
So I have similar opinion, Rajat. We have to ensure fairness. I mean,
Yeah.
we have to build, we have to devise ways to ensure fairness when we are building our models. In that way, it is, more, that way it is better. I mean, it will be more closer to having a general thing, AGI thing. It is, without that, there will definitely be challenges.
Right. No, I definitely agree. Yeah. And David?
I think the question warrants a few different brief answers. One is, what's the definition? General, I think general, sure. Useful generally, though, is a bit more than that. So I think that implies learning, automated learning. It also probably implies some model of the world, context, a sense of causality as opposed to just correlation, and distinctions between plausibility and factuality and things like that, common sense. And so I think a symbolic approach is essential. I think that the non-symbolic approaches, the neural network approaches, are kind of working closer and closer towards asymptotically towards a place where they would have some sense of these things. And can they get there? I'm not sure. That's my intuition. My degree's in policy. I've worked in tech for 35 years, so I have a decent intuition, but I'm not an engineer. But supposing that's the case, we've got plenty of hybrid approaches. Everybody's using symbolic systems for guardrails. It's happening, and I think we can get there. I do think I've recently worked for one startup that used a linguistic approach for significant work, and I think the way we use language necessitates some relationship with the real world. If I go somewhere, I end up being there. If I carry something, it moves with me. So there is structure in language that mirrors structure. And I think that's useful, and I think we can leverage that both on the training side, on the guardrail side, on the hybrid approaches, along with vector graph, knowledge graph, short-term memory, long-term memory, all these different things. It's all happening, and yeah, I'm hugely excited. I think in 2 to 5 years, we'll start seeing things that are more reliable and more generally useful. But I'll leave it to you engineers to make it so.
I think that's a good message for our cohort students. And I think I really liked how each of you touched upon the point about making AI systems that are fair and unbiased for all, because I think that's a very essential step to even reaching something even close to HEI, right? Because especially as a nonprofit of OpenNLP Labs, our mission is to build AI that is relevant and kind of works for diverse situations and for diverse individuals. So I think that's a very, very necessary step for this. So I liked how all touched on that.
One quick additional comment on that, the specific linguistic framework that the team was working with is called Role and Reference Grammar. It was developed by a brilliant guy over 30 years. He started working with Tagalog and Lakota, and he found a system for deconstructing language that worked with those languages, and then he made sure it worked with English. So this whole concept of there being structure in language can be inclusive. Anyway, interesting, fascinating stuff.
Wow. Wow, that's really interesting. And I think that kind of makes me think about how we started as an organization kind of working on low resource languages first. And I guess we kind of went backwards. We looked at systems that worked traditionally for high resource languages, like the neural networks, the machine translation systems for Spanish and French and such, and then applied it to like lower resource languages, like you mentioned, like Lakota and Tagalog. So that's
Did you
actually
run into, so there's a question of scaling on the symbolic side. That's why the
right.
non-symbolic approaches are so awesome, because they just, more data, better solution, right?
Right.
But there's also a question with these underrepresented languages of there being sufficient data for training, right? I mean, is
Yeah.
that something you
Yeah.
ran into?
No, I think we definitely ran into challenges with that. And I think one of our groups, Yakula, they're building like the app for translating speech data of African languages. And I think they can also speak to this, but we've definitely run into issues with data collection and finding, finding data in these languages. What's worked for us is to partner with community organizations, at least in those countries, and find data from that way. So for example, in Africa, we partnered with a few schools who spoke the Twi language and collected data through that. But especially as kind of languages are not there's dialects and there's different spoken variants and things like that. It's very hard to create, I guess what you mentioned, like a non-symbolic approach that can translate these languages rather than just like a linguistic framework that might work in those scenarios. For sure. All right, and I think I have one last question for you as we wrap this up and go into our student presentations. But I was wondering, we have a lot of student researchers here, and I know all of you have been students yourselves, and Jagat, you're obviously teaching and educating students on a day-to-day basis. I was kind of wondering, what's some advice that you would give to student researchers in this time? Like, how can they best position themselves to influence the future of AI and kind of make the most about their experience in college or their master's programs and beyond. So like, how can students make a difference in this world, given the recent technological developments? I think it's something that I'm even thinking about going off to college. I know, David, you also went to Stanford, and thinking about how we can, I don't know, how we can make a difference in the world in college and beyond.
May I go first?
Yeah, of course.
So yes, we should train our students to not become overly dependent on AI. They should. The first thing is we should emphasize very strongly on the fundamentals that we are teaching, and once they become very strong in the fundamentals, then they use AI as a supporting tool. Then that's wonderful. That would improve their productivity. That will not compromise on the accuracy of what we are doing or accuracy of the output of the tool we are building, and it won't remain a black box anymore. However, if the fundamentals are not strong and somebody just relies on AI for just getting things done, and the student doesn't know what is there in that, it remains a black box, then there can be potential threats coming out, and we don't really know whether that's gonna be working or not, or working correctly or not. So the fundamentals that we teach in computer science, especially the way the correctness frameworks and the coding fundamentals, programming fundamentals, coding constructs, all of that, it is important for students to have clear understanding of all of that, and then use AI as a supplementary tool in order to enhance their productivity. And if this is the motto, I think there won't be much problem ethically or other things. Of course, there has to be a governing body and somebody has to define what is the ethical use of AI in every respect, and that should be enforced in order to not kill the creativity of students.
I definitely agree with that. Thank you for sharing, Jagat. And I agree especially with what you mean with keeping the fundamentals strong. I think that's, as we educate students through the summer cohort, I think that's a big focus of our organization as well. Like, for example, we give all students a take-home project that reinforces their fundamentals in kind of like basic concepts and basic coding, and then they can kind of build it on from there. Because I think if you start at a shaky start, you're not very sure, if you start relying on a tool for support, I think like one recent thing I saw was I in the past I did some research on like GPT-3, some older versions of GPT, and those have become deprecated since now. So my research is now not reproducible. So I think relying too much on these tools can also cause problems. So I really agree with that. Yeah, yeah. Any closing remarks, Rajat or
I
David?
would say like I would advocate for like contributing to open source projects. Open source can help to make AI more accessible, by making tools and data sets that would be accessible to like broader audience. Because many AI tools that we are using nowadays are like their data sets are proprietary. So it
Right.
limits our ability for diverse research and in order to contribute to AI innovation. So open source initiative can help a student to share their work with the community. It can help to collaborate with others, and it can promote inclusivity in AI research and development. So student can contribute to open source project by developing tools, creating data sets and advocating for open access to AI resources. So for example, I think the Hugging Face Transformer library is an open source NLP toolkit that supports multiple languages. So it can enable all the students and researchers globally to develop and share their models. So
Yeah.
that is the one example I would like to give. And I think students should focus more on contributing to the projects, that can help them highlight the skills, and then that can help them build a greater product. At the end of the day, it's about like whatever you are building. A code doesn't mean anything, right? You can write a code for yourself, you can build an application for yourself, but thinking from a product perspective and customer focused approach, so that can help you build greater product, and you can build better position in this field of AI, I would say.
No, I really agree with that. I like how you mentioned Hugging Face as well. Actually, one of our projects, Chris's project, I think, open sourced their repository in Hugging Face, and they have a live demo. I think Hugging Face is such a great tool, and I think we've been using it for some of our open source efforts. But I definitely agree, and I also agree with what you said about working towards a project. So I think a lot of students these days, whether they're preparing for jobs or internships or other things, are working on coding projects by themselves, but by contributing to open source repositories, you not only get a feel of what it feels like to work with a team, whether it's remote or whether you're just working with some friends, but you're also making a meaningful impact on society by sharing the work that you do. So I think open source repositories and contributing to that is very, very, very important to us at OpenNLP.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
go ahead. No, I'm just saying like you can work all day in your room, like writing programs for yours. At the end of the day, it doesn't add any value. And whether, for example, a student after graduating, they're gonna apply for a job. So at the end of the day, they have to showcase like what work, what impact did they have during their tenure, whether they were in bachelor or master, whatever education they are in. So at the end of the day, it's all about impact, and we should think from like return on investment perspective. Whether it is whether we are investing time, money, resource, whatever it is. So we should think what would be the end outcome before starting any projects for the sake of just starting it. So
Yeah, starting meaningful projects is really important.
If I could chime in, I would say, Jagat's focus on maintaining creativity and building foundations, and Rajat's focus on impact and demonstrating use and understanding. And I would add access, not just use as many different systems as possible, technologies, be familiar with all the paths, because I don't think we yet know what's going to come out, what's going to be most important next year, right? I mean, but also personal alignment. You hear a lot about AI alignment with societal values. I think we should try to think in the reverse and align what you're doing with yourself. I mean, I think you can add more value if you've, and this I think syncs with what the professor is saying, if you're learning and Rajat's statement about projects and work, if what you're doing resonates with you and with your personal story, then you add more value to wherever you go. You know, use a lot of different things, learn a lot of things, and then do something unique. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally agreed. I always wonder like that, like with this advancement of LLM and AI, another day I was wondering whether, like, for example, I'm a software engineer, would I be efficient in future? Would my job would be like, would I be able to like have this position for like how long? So I was wondering like what skill should I work on in order to better position myself for future. So it's everything boils down to like critical thinking. If you can sharpen your critical thinking skills, I think you would be able to excel in every kind of field. You don't have to care about whether the advancement of technology, whatever it is. So because a lot of folks are wondering whether my job would be still be viable after 3-4 years. So I'm trying to reframe my thinking. I'm trying to better position myself for future by thinking in terms like this, like developing more critical thinking. And the one good point I think David highlighted is you have to have experience with different tools and different, like, you have to have certain experience about everything. It should not be constrained. Okay, I'm in the technical field, so I should be just working on these coding things and nothing else matter to me, because you never know what's going to happen. So yeah, I think that is one approach that I'm taking and would highly recommend everyone to evaluate what they wanted to do and just try to develop more critical thinking and try to think with reasoning. So I would say,
and learn to teach.
Yeah, that's pretty good skill. That is really hard to, you can learn about the topic, but you cannot explain it well. So
right.
it's a pretty good skill, I would say. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you so much for all of these insights. I feel like I really enjoyed how each of you touched on a different topic. I really liked how you mentioned focusing on developing critical thinking skills, and also David's focus on interdisciplinary work, kind of immersing yourself with different tools and different platforms is really important. I think that's something that's really resonated with our work as a cohort as well. I think there are many students in this cohort who have worked with technologies that they never thought they would even work with before starting our cohort. Like, let's say you're maybe you only have experience with Python, but now you're working with technologies like you're learning about transformers and you're learning about NLP. That's a new technology that students didn't think that they would work on. Or even some students started out being more of a full stack developer and then they transitioned to being a machine learning developer. So transitioning across different roles and learning a wide set of skills is really, really important. So I like that focus on not only interdisciplinary work, but work that matters and work that's purposeful and also in alignment with your own goals, similar to what David mentioned. All right. Unfortunately, we'll have to pause the speaker panel for now for our student presentations, but I would like everyone to kind of maybe virtually snap or virtually clap. But thank you so much, David, Rajat, and Jagat, for your amazing talk and insights. It's been wonderful, and I think our students have a lot to take away from this.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, let's move on. Great, some people are typing in the chat. Thank you, Merve. Thank you, Anurita. Glad to hear that the talk was helpful for you all. And yeah, so now without further ado, we'll have our students go. Our first group presenting will be Yakola, so I will invite Sophia to share her screen and introduce. All right. And let us also make sure the other members are pinned. So let us pin Ishan. Give me 1 minute as we try to spotlight all of the members of the Yakola project. great. Is there anyone else who hasn't been pinned? I think Iris. It's been Iris. And Spotlight. Victoria. Has anyone else still needs to be added as a spotlight? Oh, okay. Iris still doesn't have the spotlight. Okay, add. All right, great. Is there anyone else left to present, Sophia? I think we're good. All right, I'll let you take the floor from here.
Okay, so hello everyone. Today we'll be presenting our work with the Yekola app, and Yekola means to learn in the Lingala language. So as was mentioned in the panel that we just had, many languages are data scarce, and this is a real problem. In fact, 90% of the languages in the world have yet to be fully digitized. And despite there being over 7,000 languages worldwide, language learning apps like Duolingo only serve 43, and major translation services like Google Translate only have 243. So most people in the world struggle receiving multilingual support for any digital resource, including customer service or even banking. And despite having over 2 billion speakers worldwide, African and Asian languages compose of less than 2% of the data sets online. So next, Iris will be introducing our solution.
Yes, so Yekola is a language exchange app focused on audio focused, community-driven learning for users, where we let users create the data needed to digitize these low-resource languages. Yes, so our mission is, of course, to teach, learn, and preserve these low-resource languages, and this is done by a user-focused app of like an open form of peer-to-peer learning. So basically all the data for this app is crowdsourced, so users can interact with like these minority language experts and then fine-tune our existing data sets based off of like exchanges that are done on the app.
Sure. So within this app, we have an AI-based transcription feature because it is easier for users to learn when they're able to see the text along with the audio. So we've designed a pipeline to account for this transcription feature. The pipeline starts with an audio input, which may come from a post, a video, a message, or some other form of audio data in the mobile app. And after the audio input is pre-processed into tensors, a request is sent from the front end or the client side, which is routed via AWS's API gateway to our Lambda function that invokes our transcription models. So we have fine-tuned speech-to-text models with OpenAI's Whisper model as a base, and we stored these models in AWS S3, which means a Jupyter Notebook and AWS SageMaker can take in the input tensors and the model from S3, deploy the model to perform the transcription, and send the transcription off to a Lambda function, which uses Google Translate's API to translate the transcribed audio. And this final Lambda function will output both the transcription and the translation back to the client side, enabling effective transcription for audio as well as translation within our language learning app.
So these are our team leads, including the CEO, COO, and our tech leads for our AI backend and front-end teams. And then for my personal motivations, by growing up in a multilingual household, I believe in the importance of cultural interchange for making meaningful societal contributions. Yekola's mission to teach low-resource languages is vital to spreading and maintaining cultural diversity. And then also as a backend developer for Yekola, I have worked on a variety of tasks, including configuring the LLM pipeline to queue large volumes of user requests and processing model output, also handling live updates to the chat service via AWS's AppSync, setting up Google internal authentication, managing user data for post, comment, and community services, sending and queuing user notifications using AWS SNS and SQS, and managing user media via S3. And then I'm currently working on integrating backend endpoints into the React components on the client side for seamless end interaction. And then, of course, my future goals for this project are to make the actual application to handle higher volumes of users. And I'd also like to enable users to access real-time transcriptions and translations in the post and community services.
So, like Iris, I've also grown up in a multilingual and multicultural household. So, I've experienced the power of language firsthand to connect people with their families, their friends, their cultures, and their heritage. I'm dedicated to preserving linguistic and cultural diversity, which is why Yekala's mission really resonated with me. So at Yekala, I've worked on developing backend and AI features, including fine-tuning the speech-to-text LLMs in low-resource African languages, developing the speech-to-text pipeline, as well as other parts of the backend architecture, including chat services, user handling, and community features. As for my future goals, I hope that Yekala's app's scope can be expanded to include more target languages. I hope that we can develop AI to user interaction for further learning engagement, and that we can improve the scalability and the performance of our backend services.
Hello, so I'm Seth Chang. I worked on the front end. So I believe that each language has a story behind it, and it's not just a bunch of words like randomly stringed together. And unfortunately, most of these stories are dying out. So I really enjoyed Yakala's mission to revitalize these low resource languages and build a community of learners as well. So I worked on the Yakula mobile app for a majority of my time, and my goal was to make the Yakula app beautiful. So what I did was I improved a lot of the user experience. I added a lot of social components as well, and made everything just very convenient for the user. And my eventual goal is to have very appealing UI all around for the Yakula app, as well as very smooth user experience as well. So my work was, again, the social components, but also integrating with the backend, as Iris was saying.
Hi, my name is Victoria, and I worked on the AI and backend team. And my motivation for joining this project is really Yakula's mission. So, as an immigrant myself, I definitely understand the process of kind of giving up my own culture to fit in, to understand American culture, intentionally or not. And while that process has been rewarding in its own ways, I think it's really valuable for us to go back to our roots, as the saying goes, and discover what we lost on the way. And I believe that with technology, we basically have permanent memory. And instead of using it to further the imbalance of languages, like the data imbalance has been doing, we should use it instead, like Yakula, to preserve these cultures. And so my contributions has mainly been developing the models, improving them, and then media handling using S3 and AWS. For further project goals, I'd like to just continue doing what I've been doing, developing different models for different languages in the future, and hopefully impacting as many cultures as we possibly can. Thank you.
So Yusuf was unfortunately not able to make it, but as he was a very important contributor to the backend team, I'll be introducing him on his behalf. So Yusuf was motivated to join Yakula from his experiences with the value of linguistic diversity and education, as he grew up in a non-English speaking household. And at Yakula, he has made integral contributions toward backend functionalities like community management functions, API requests, and media handling. And as for his next steps, he greatly looks forward to working on integrating the app for its version 1 release.
Hello, my name is Ishan, and I was part of the AI team. My motivations for joining Yakala was to connect my passion for computer science and machine learning with making a real impact. And the mission of Yakala is really important to me because it means I can help have a part in preserving these low resource languages and preserving people's history and culture. So my contributions were I assisted in developing a text-to-speech model for Swahili, and additionally, I also developed a list of methods to improve the accuracy of our models. In the future of Yekla, I hope to continue building our own LLMs for the project and help integrate the models as well. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Murari Mbadi, and I am marketing for Yakola. My motivation to join this project happened due to my interest in learning languages, since learning my home language was a must in my household. Unfortunately, it was very difficult to learn languages on online platforms, especially when the language I desired to learn was not on any database. When I came across Yakola and the opportunity it was providing, I thought it was a great idea, and I hope to contribute and apply my skills to the project. For my contributions to the project, I helped create a potential partnership with the Climate Cardinals and create a document with potential VCs to apply. I also help create a VC email template and a partnership document for finding more partnerships. My future project goals is to make more potential partners for Yakola and to help apply my skills into finding more VCs and to contribute the most I can to Yakola's overall goals. I'm also looking to contribute on the SEO part of Yakola. Thank you.
So now that we've introduced our wonderful team members, we also must acknowledge the incredible impact of the OpenNLP summer cohort as a whole. And over the summer, we have garnered over 2,000 interested users in our waitlist, located across 30 different countries. We have built and trained large language models for 5 target African languages, including Lingala, Swahili, Yoruba, and Twi, and we're finishing up 5 more. We won over $15,000 in pitch competition grants, and we are currently working on pilot partnerships with 3 student organizations in climate and immigration services. And as for our next steps, we are working on finishing up our final integration for the app, and we're preparing to launch version 1 of the app this month. And to conclude our presentation, we would like to share a brief demonstration of our app with you all, which Iris will be explaining. If I can just pull up the video. So I will stop sharing right now and share the video with you all. So as you can see, this is the front end of the app. And this is what goes on behind the scenes with our speech-to-text pipeline. And as we can see, the transcription and translation were successful. Okay, so that will be all for the Yakola app. Thank you for listening to our presentation.
Thank you so much for presenting, Sophia. All right, it was so interesting to hear about what Yakola is working on. I really appreciate the mission of Yakola as well that Merve has put together. Supporting low resource languages is one of our key focus areas. So it was great to see what you all have built for our summer cohort. Thank you so much. Thank you, Keith. All right, next up we will have Simran's project present. So I will keep Sophia pinned and Saf pinned, and I will invite the relevant speakers. All right, and
All right, so I'll just be sharing my screen for this presentation in the
yeah,
moment.
give us 1 second. Let's make sure everyone is.
Okay, just pulling it up right now.
Sounds good.
All right.
Hi, so this is our team. My name is Arman, and I'm on the project of interactive image editing for image transcreation with mentor Simran. And today we'll be going through our presentation. Okay, so here's our agenda with what we're going to be covering today. And then next. And here are mentors that help guide us through our project. So we have Simran, Professor Graham, Professor D, and Yutong. And then this is our group of team that I've worked with over the past summer over this project, and we've worked really hard on creating our Next. So we'll be going over some background on what transcreation is, our work with specific details on our model selecting process, and our demonstration of our platform in future work. First, let's discuss what exactly transcreation is. Image transcreation is the process of localizing images from one culture to the next through editing various objects and stylistic features in the image. Transcreation is heavily used in marketing and mass media, even to the extent of whole movies. For example, as you can see from a scene from Zootopia, in China, one of the characters is displayed as a panda, and in Brazil, the same character is displayed as a jaguar, to fit the context of each sphere of culture. However, translating images to each culture this way takes a lot of resources and time, which can be automated through artificial intelligence. On experimenting with state-of-the-art AI models to do this task, we found that every model has a different set of capabilities, and no single model can localize an image end-to-end. Hence, in this work, we build a comprehensive platform where we bring together multiple such image editing models and provide a text interface to the user, where they interact with to run the appropriate models and make iterative edits to the image. Passing it on to Sophia to discuss specific pros and cons of each model we used and why they work better being used together than being used alone.
All right, so before that, let's introduce our target problem. So there exist many high-performing image editing models, but when the task required of these models is culturally sensitive image transcreation, even the state-of-the-art struggle. For example, the image on the left shows a model attempting to convert a burger into the culture of the United States. As we can see, the model has colored the burger red, white, and blue, or the colors of the United States flag, but it has neglected that the burger is already of United States origin, resulting in a bit of an absurd and unreasonable output. As another example, let's take a look at the image on the right, which shows a model trying to convert a field of cotton plants in India to the Japanese culture. Here, the model has simply added sakura blossoms all across the field and multiple Mount Fuji peaks in the background, which doesn't exactly make sense. Thus, we can see that when the state-of-the-art struggles with this sort of task, it risks stereotypical and even irrelevant outputs.
So to solve this issue, we have developed an image editing platform that allows users to upload and modify as well as edit and share images with others.
The demo version of our platform is based off of 6 models with general image editing capabilities, object placement swapping, and object removal capabilities, as well as style transfer capabilities. And all these models have their own pros and cons. For example, while general image editing models are great for regular object editing and placement or swapping, they aren't very effective when it comes to editing or placing very culturally relevant items. So we have designated object-oriented models that can edit or place culturally relevant objects by separately providing them with images of those objects. That way we can guarantee through that at least one model, we can achieve a change that we want. And now for the platform demo.
Okay, so this is just a quick demo of the platform. As you can see, for first-time users, there's a very convenient Pendo guide explaining what each part does. For the sake of time, the demo skips it. But here in this example, I'm just going to convert a duck in the water to a swan. And through this example, you can see how accurate our platform is. So this actually takes several components. So after I input my prompt in here, Gemini actually takes this prompt and makes it more specific. And these are hyperparameters, which are basically sliders that you can control to generate certain aspects of the image. So for example, you can change the quality of the generation or the control on which the model has over it as well. So there are 3 models here, and this one is the closest to what we want because it basically places the swan in lieu of the duck. So this is the feedback model that we have, and we can customize feedback, and this feedback actually gets inputted back into our platform to train the models even better. And if the user has any additional feedback that is not included in the sliders, they can then put it in the text box. So last but not least is publishing the image. So you can select a base culture and a target culture as well. And you can select the purpose of the image, and I'm just going to make it public for the demo. And you add a title. And the beauty of our platform is that once you make an edit, and let's say you make it public instead of private, you can then view the entire history of how this image was exactly created, so you can replicate the exact output as well.
All right, so now that we've gone over a demo of our platform, let's take a look at some sample outputs that demonstrate its effectiveness. The image at the top shows a conversion from the Brazilian to the Indian culture, where the task required is to change the churrasco on the grill to paneer to make it relevant to the Indian culture. Notice how the model has primarily changed only the food on the skewer, preserving the general structure of the image, and it has even added some additional features like vegetables in a bowl on the corner for additional relevance to the target. Now, the image at the bottom shows a conversion from the Indian culture to the North American culture, where the task required is to change the tiger into an alligator to make it relevant to North America. Notice how here, so that the output is able to make sense, the structure of the image itself has been changed, which means rather than just replacing the tiger with the alligator, the surrounding environment has also been changed, which makes the resulting output not only relevant, but also high quality and logically sound to its target culture.
Along with our platform being a general image editing software, we also aim to collect data to fine-tune a VLM that can convert culture translation queries into a single image rather than multiple image. We collect data from professional translators. We collect the image quality. A lot of the times the models really make colors pop out and make it look unnatural. We collect if the image follows the instructions. A lot of the times the image the model does not follow instructions for one culture rather than other cultures. So this could show culture bias under the hood of some diffusion models. We also see how semantically the input image matches to the output image. We also collect that metric. True translation includes keeping the original context and the original meaning of the sentence while putting it in a different form. So that is a very important metric that we need to collect. We also collect how closely the image matches the desired culture. A lot of the times the diffusion models, they include some elements regarding the culture, but not really the specific ones. Another thing we collect if the model outputted any stereotypical or offensive outputs. All of the models have NSFW or 18 plus filters, but some of them output unintentionally stereotypical outputs. So we can remove that bias. And we collect a variety of feedback. We also collect text-based feedback to help with human feedback-based reinforcement learning model to further fine-tune the VLM. Overall, we collect a lot of data to fine-tune each of the diffusion models in the future and also a VLM to do all-in-one translation. We also store our entire interaction in a MongoDB database. We store the base reference and selected images. We also store the hyperparameters. For example, a single value for guidance scale can output two different images for the same model. So we also collect the very specific hyperparameter values associated with each diffusion models. We also store the prompts. Instead of just storing the human prompt, we use Google Gemini under the hood, where it converts the human prompts into very specific prompts for some of the models. We also collect both of those types of prompts. Again, we collect feedback to further use human feedback-based reinforcement learning model. We also collect base and target cultures. Overall, we collect a lot of data, which will really help us fine-tune an efficient VLM, and the data is not so noisy compared to other data collection platforms.
Another thing I want to quickly mention is that a lot of the people who will be using this platform for data collection are translators, and they might not have too much experience with the English language. So we use models like Gemini to improve their prompts so that the image editing models know exactly what to do.
So we did a little bit of comparison of the state-of-the-art model versus our platform. The state-of-the-art model is a software that is widely used in the image editing industry. And as you can see, our original item is a pancake, which is a breakfast item eaten in North American culture. And our intended output is roti, which is sometimes eaten during lunch, dinner, or breakfast in Indian culture. So you can see the state-of-the-art model did a really great job presenting the roti element, except it didn't keep the original semantic meaning. Meanwhile, our platform has a better representation of a roti, has extra features such as butter on top, and maintains the original semantic representation of the input image. Next slide. And to have a more grounded truth rather than just looking at the images, we ran cosine similarity and structural similarity Cosine similarity is where the images are presented as numbers using the clip embeddings model by OpenAI. And it overall matches the features of the input and the output image, some features that are not detected by humans. And overall, the higher the score, the more closer the images are. So as you can see, our platform had a higher cosine similarity score compared to the state of the art. And structural similarity measures the structure of the image on the surface level, like something we notice as humans. And you can see that our platform performed better than the state of the art model. So overall, our platform is better in a lot of aspects than the state of the art model. Next slide.
So we plan to add more models to the platform, and once we finish that up, we want to start collecting our data, as we mentioned, through translators, and eventually present our work at IEE and NACL. And we also plan to release our models to the public. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that great presentation. All right, let me change the screen. And it seems like a few people in the chat. So if you're interested in using a platform, please email info@openNLPlabs.org. Right now it's not publicly available, but we are rolling it out to certain translators with cultural experience. So if you have experience, I guess, translating content to a particular culture, please reach out via our email that I have shared in the chat. All right. Great. All right, thank you. Sounds good. And next we will have Parithosha's project present. I will pin Seth and Somya, and we'll have Somya go first, and then Seth can present afterwards. All right, sounds good.
Okay. Can everyone see this?
Yep.
Okay, so I worked with Paritosh under, like, he was my mentor, and all of us that were working with him kind of did independent sort of research projects. I was one of the people that worked with Paritosh, then Seth, and then Brandon, who couldn't make it. His project had something to do with using sentiment analysis to detect whether a certain politician is lying, and Seth will tell you guys about his project after me. So basically what I studied was linguistic similarity in American politics. So basically I wanted to see how a difference in a language affects the overall concept or the ideas presented in a certain news article and what biases can be seen within various different languages. So the different languages I studied are the four main ones: English, Spanish, French, and German, which is, widely used across the world. And since it has to do with American politics, English was used as, the truth, basically the truth of the article. So what I did was I found many events relating to American politics, but more specifically the presidential election, since that is a super big thing that's going on right now. And I found articles for those events in all the four languages: English, Spanish, French, and German. And I computed the similarities of the articles across these various languages. And I also used keyword analysis to pick out certain biases that lay within the articles that I could kind of find out and see whether I could see anything interesting. So here are a few examples of some of the results I got. So this was the first debate. It was pretty long ago. And here we can see that all the languages are pretty similar to each other, which means they all kind of had the same ideas, the same sort of sentiments involved. And this was the similarities between the articles for the shooting at the Trump rally. And we can see even that they had similar messages, similar sentiments, all of those things. And then the recent debate, which was just a few days ago, we could see that the similarities between the languages varied a little bit. So it seems that different languages had slightly different views across this particular event. And like that, for all the events, there was like different numbers, different similarities, and it was interesting to see how that kind of played out overall.
In conclusion, the majority of the articles across the different languages that I worked with were quite similar to each other, so most were over 50%. And another interesting thing that I found was when I was analyzing the keywords for these articles, most of the articles lean towards slightly democratic views. And I was interested in seeing why this could be the case. And one thing I was thinking was that all the articles I picked out from were from very like national big news websites. So maybe that could contribute to it. And a further, research a point that I could explore into will be to see how more local news articles would play into it and how that kind of changes the similarities or keywords or things like that. Okay, so that's all I have for my part of the Research project.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Somya. We'll let Seth go next.
Okay. Let me see if I can share my window. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So my project was few-shot intent detection for political discourse analysis, which basically means, okay, a politician can say a lot of words in a speech, but what do they mean in one or two or a couple of words? So why did I decide to pursue this? There's very limited data on political discourse because it hasn't really been studied to the point where there is a formed data set around this specific issue. And even though millions of people around the world watch political speeches, such as the presidential debate that happened recently, not very many people can determine or quickly summarize what really happened in that amount of time. And it's just for general understanding, speeches can and will get lost in translation. So, for example, Google Translate can translate something from English into Spanish, but when you convert it back from Spanish into English, it only takes the literal meaning and it doesn't really take the idiomatic or the cultural meaning as well. So, if you could shorten it down to one or two words, it would be much easier to translate across cultures and everyone around the world can understand what the politician is saying. And three, I decided to use few-shot learning because it's very cost efficient. So the model should only be able to take one or two tries to learn a new intent, not an entire data set. And this means that the model only relies on a few examples from each intent, and it's a curated subset, and it's not that big. So there are more applications than just politics. So this applied approach can also be for other political speeches or for speeches in general. We can also create new intents with it as well. I tried new intents on the model, which I will show soon, and it seems to adapt relatively quickly because it's pre-trained. So this is just a quick overview of what I did for the project. So first, I web scraped a bunch of quotes from quote websites for data collection, and I pre-processed the data. One notable part about the pre-processing was that I had to share the data in various file types and formats, as well as clean up the data to make it presentable to Paritosh so he could see what examples I was using. So I used libraries like pandas, as well as others for file conversion as well. I did model selection and training. So I had to choose a model with a good inherent understanding of the English language. So I used a BERT model, and I used this BERT model to evaluate and further refine my data set as well as the metrics that I will show. So for the training, I trained a BERT model to do intent classification, as you could probably guess, but it was actually a two-step training process where I trained the BERT model first on the Amazon Massive Dataset, which is an annotated dataset that is specialized in sort of having annotated data to train BERT models on explicitly intent classification. So for example, one of the examples was, okay, set an alarm for 15 minutes and the Amazon Massive Dataset would have an intent column with the name alarm. And I did few-shot learning using libraries like libfewshot and kshot, which I can accurately determine the amount of examples a model needs to learn a specific intent. So training the model on the pre-processed data using an appropriate optimizer and loss function to minimize the difference between predicted and actual intents was actually pretty important because I went through several training approaches and most of the time I didn't really get the intent I was using until the very end. So these are some of the evaluations and results. As you can see, there are actually 6 intents that I used and 2 test cases at the bottom. All of the metrics are basically computing the error and the precision analyses. And as you can see, they're all sort of 100%. And in a normal machine learning scenario, this would be kind of fishy and it would sort of be overfitting to the data. And I was worried about that as well. But because it's few-shot learning, I wasn't it kind of explained itself because it's really easy to score 100% when there are a few examples versus thousands and thousands of examples. So as for the overfitting, I decided to try some examples at the bottom. So I did no more fighting and the predicted intent was peace. And I changed the wording a little bit and it still outputted the predicted intent, which means it's pretty resistant to word changes, which means it's effective across other languages. So for the limitations of this project, it's hard to create a full data set of what politicians say from a few examples. So language is sort of like language is really diverse. I mean, I think that's been a resounding theme in our symposium, and there are a lot of ways that people can say things, and just a few examples can't really cover what needs to be said when people are talking about world affairs. And as such, language has more than 5 intents. So what I researched here was just a small subset of what people would say. And obviously further testing must be done. And few-shot learning may be an inherently wrong approach because few-shot learning is good for small experiments, but as more data sets come out about politics, it's better to train through epochs like a normal machine learning model would. And that's it for the presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Seth, for presenting. That was so insightful to hear about how both of you worked on political discourse, but in 2 very different ways. That's really cool. Thank you so much. All right, so I know we are going a little bit over, but I'd like us to respect the last group, which is Chris's project. So let's spotlight them. Let's make sure to spotlight all members of the project.
Hi everyone, we're Christine.
All right, 1 minute. Let me make sure Tharu is spotlighted. Cleo, can you ensure?
Taru, it would be great if you could just turn on your video so we can spotlight and then we'll just go ahead with the. Thank you.
Great, and then I think we can add spotlight. All right, I'll let you guys take it away.
Sure. Thank you, Soba. Hello everyone, we're Christine and we're presenting clinical dialogue summarization. And in this presentation, we're gonna split into 4 parts, which is the introduction, the walkthrough, and the live demo of our application, the results and findings of our prompt, and the challenge and next iteration. Shout out to Chris as our mentor to help us out on solving all different kinds of questions on LLMs and give us resource. We also have Yambo, Eric, Taru, and me, Shunxi, as working on different parts of the project. Our aim is to develop an automatic medical dialogue summarization system for clinical doctor-patient conversations. Therefore, to create a concise and useful summary of these interactions using advanced language models. Our research field aims at the medical dialogue summarizations, which refers to the process of generating concise and coherent summaries of conversations between healthcare professionals and patients. I think we all have this experience that we have an appointment with a doctor, and the doctor, they are asking different kinds of questions, such as the history, whether you're allergic to anything else, or do you have any symptoms, the lab result, etc. At the same time, they'll write down some notes and summaries. However, for doctors, it is pretty time-consuming and labor-intensive to write down notes while in the conversations. And as for the patients, there are chances that it is unable to obtain precise diagnosis results and effective treatment strategies we can reduce trustworthiness between the doctors and the patients and might not keep up and following up of the whole medical conversation. Therefore, during the doctor-patient encounters, it is important to highlight important discussion points, relevant medical history, and future plan test and treatment, which is our goal. As on the horizon of LLM technology, there are two main technologies that has applied into the medical dialogue summarizations. The first one is fine-tuning. It uses an foundational models on top of the medical data to enhance performance on specific medical tasks. However, due to its a 3-month project, and it requires a large amount of annotated data and also a high computational cost, we therefore has chosen prompt-based method as our technology, which uses well-designed prompt to guide the performance of large language model in medical scenarios. Here are some basic prompts that are using in prompt engineering. For example, there are zero-shot prompting, few-shot prompting, role prompting, and chain of thoughts. We might thought that if we combine everything together, then the prompt of the output have the best performance. However, the design system of the prompt needs to be delicate and well compact. For example, as we can see in the right side of the slides, this is where the example has been provided from the link down below. It's morely about how to design our prompt system. We can see that there are a based prompt that has been generated at first, then testing from 0 shot to 2 shots, and look if the performance, which one is the better. Then we combine more prompt technologies in it, for example, role prompting or chain of thoughts. At last, we can get into a well-compact prompt design. Therefore, our research question is, what are the most effective prompt strategies for improving the automatic summarizations of doctor-patient encounter dialogues using advanced language models? And we hope to get the best clinical doctor-patient conversation dialogue summarization system to help the whole conversation become more efficient and convenient. Our schedule was we have basic learning and literature at June, and we do our system setup and prompt template development at July. In August, we kind of wrap everything up to do the evaluation and the documentation. Prompt testing workflow was provided below. We can see that everyone needs to design their own prompts. We have a pocket list on prompt. We put it in the playground called the arena, which will give us back on the performance of the prompt. We then adjust the prompt and do our own prompt design and to get to the best iteration. Then we cherry pick 1 to 2 prompts for the last testing. We given the prompt into Chris and then therefore to do the evaluation. So the output would be the raw score and the winning rate. Next, I'll hand it to Yanbo for the application walkthrough.
Thanks, Shunxi. Hello, everyone. My name is Yanbo, working as an application engineer at OpenNLP. So to help our teammates quickly test their prompts, we have created an application to host the LLM and interact with the users. It's open source and run by our Hacking Face account. So everyone interacts. So everyone interested could visit there. I have a link in the slides and also the chat. So in general, this application supports 4 features: playground, arena, batch evaluation, and leaderboard. I will go through one by one. Next slide. So for application, for the playground, it supports general prompt testing. We have multiple open source LLMs, as well as we can support parameters like temperatures sampling, as well as a number of new tokens to help control LLM's generation process. Next slide. So this is our interface. It has models, conversations to summarize, as well as parameters and the final summarization. Next slide. As for Arena, so it supports parallel streaming, multiple responses from multiple anomalous prompts that's stored in our database. And after generation, user can vote the best response in their mind. And we would record the selection as the winning of this prompt. And the number of winning times will be used as a evaluation metric in a leaderboard. Now, next slide. So here's the streaming process, and the user can select their favorite response in the end. Next slide. So the third feature is the batch evaluation. It can for users to know how their prompt perform in a larger scale of data points. So it will ask after submission their prompt. They will alternately iterate through multiple data points and evaluate each responses. And it will show an overall score and the separated scores once finished, as well as each response and each one choose answer. Next slide. So this is the interface to hear in the first, the user can insert their prompt to test, and it will go through the evaluation, and after evaluation, it will show evaluation scores in the end. Next slide. Also, this is a leaderboard to show how each prompt created by our teammates work. So we ranked the performance of prompt by raw score and the winning rates. So generally speaking, raw score is a machine evaluation score that measures the overlap between the generated response and one choose answer. The higher the better, and the winning rate is a cross human evaluation, as mentioned in the arena, which measures the percentage that this prompt is selected as the best response. Also, no, don't escape.
Oh, sorry, Ben.
Yeah. Also, because these prompts are too large to display, so but once collect the ID number, it will jump to a new page for display. So I encourage everyone interested to try, and helps us improve. So link is in the channel. Oh yeah, next slide. Okay, and the next speaker will be Eric.
All right, so I'll be talking about the results. So you can see the leaderboard here, and my prompt for special format went on both root score and winning rate, and Taru's prompt seemed to be second in root score, while Shinchi's prompt is second in winning rate. Next slide. And so here you can see the different techniques that the prompts use. So for my prompts, I use few shot, chain of thought, and Shinchi's, as you can see, they use role prompting mainly, and Taru's was just a simple zero shot prompt. Next slide. So as for how the best prompt was designed, it was mainly based on the papers shared earlier, and a snippet of here is displayed here. So the basic idea of the paper is that the best summary results are when the details are extracted directly from the text so that there's minimal information loss. And to guide the model through this process, I first use few shot prompting to give the model an example of what a good summarization would be. And then next, I also guided the model through the process through a technique called chain of thought, which is basically just showing the individual steps and asking the model to think it through. And for the special format prompt, I added specific instructions about the format. Next slide. So as you can see here, this is the prompt I used for special format, and I cut out the example text, but you can see the overall structure here. Next slide. So in the yellow here, these are the examples, and they're at the beginning, there's the input, and then the instructions are between here, and the result is at the end. And then finally, it's just asking to apply the same process again. Next slide. And here in the middle, there's the meat of the prompt, which is the instruction. So the main part of the prompt is at the very top where it's doing extraction and taking out the important details. The rest of it is mainly based around just grouping it into different categories and putting them together into the final summary. Next slide. And so there are some interesting outliers in the leaderboard. So as you can see, Taru's has a pretty low win rate for her pretty high root score, which means that her prompt might have performed pretty well against examples, but it seems like it may have not performed as well in real world situations when evaluated by a human. And and Trinity's prompts seem to do better in that respect. And so most of the prompts did better with adding examples. As you can see, my prompt and Trinity's prompt did better than Taro's, but for whatever reason, my prompt seemed to perform decently low in terms of root score, but it did perform higher in win rate, which was also interesting. Next slide. Okay. Okay, so now I'll turn it over to Taro.
So the current limitations of our model is that there are inconsistent model performance, there's a difficult design of our prompt, and there's limited evaluation metrics. So how can we tackle these? Next slide. The next steps that we foresee for our projects are improvements on two main ends. Firstly, for the model itself, we would like to implement more evaluation metrics that assess factors such as accuracy or multilingual functionality. In addition, we were considering restructuring the format of the summaries produced by our model to better suit medical documentation structure, thus making it more relevant for healthcare workers. On that note, we ultimately foresee a plan of turning this model into an application that can be utilized by doctors, patients, healthcare workers in general. And throughout this process, we will have a few important considerations. Firstly, we'll need to make sure that the UI UX accommodates this large population. And in addition, we will need to make sure that the application manages patient data in a way so that it complies with HIPAA regulations. And in addition, our model produces summaries in a way that are accessible to the patient, but nonetheless accurate to comply with medical liability regulations. Next slide. So here's an outline of our team's achievements throughout the course of this project. We first conducted an in-depth literature review on summarization techniques within the healthcare realm. We then fed 5 prompts of chain of thought, zero-shot, few-shot prompting into our model. We then used training and prompt engineering to generate open source applications. And now we've crowdsourced an open platform for LLM evaluation to further allow our model to grow. Next slide. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you very much. What an insightful presentation. And I'd invite the audience to also try out the platform. I believe that Yanbo has shared the link in the chat, and a couple of people have asked whether it's open source and free for anyone to use. And yes, that is, Yanbo answered that yes, anyone can use this, and also it can work to detect instruction in languages other than English. So thank you for sharing that, Yanbo. Thank you for everyone sharing that. All right, so we have completed our student presentations. I just have a couple of final awards and final notes to send us off with. I know we are going a little bit over time, so I really appreciate all of you for staying on and listening to our wonderful students present their work this summer. It's truly appreciated. I'll work on now presenting some of our awards. So let me share my screen. All right, and then let me change this to full screen. All right, so you all can see my screen. All right, great. So I know I put this a little bit early, but we are excited to announce the Presidential Volunteer Service Awards that we have for our students. We, as a 501c3 nonprofit organization, are recognized by the U.S. Government to provide the Volunteer Service Award for exceptional volunteers who have been, representing their commitment to OpenNLP labs both throughout the summer, before, and into the future as well, hopefully. So I'd like to share our gold, silver, and bronze awards. Right, so these are our gold PVSA qualifiers: Janish, Arya, Sophia, Arman, Seth, and Vardhan. I'd like to spend a moment, we can clap and celebrate them. Gold requires over 250 hours of volunteer service. So it's honestly amazing. Combined through all of these volunteers, we've spent over 1,000 hours, well over 1,000 hours in volunteering towards our mission and developing NLP projects that are relevant for social good. So great job, guys. Our silver awardees for this summer are Ishan and Iris. Congrats, Ishan and Iris. And our bronze awardees are Ayush and Arnav. And all of our volunteers are able to receive the Presidential Service Award. So if you're interested in volunteering with us in the future, yeah, that's something we're certified by. So yeah, congrats to everyone. All right. And now I'd like to end off with a closing note about our next steps. So in the fall, we're planning to host chapter programs for OpenNLP Labs. So if you're excited to participate in some of the projects that we've had in the summer and the symposium has been enlightening for you, you can participate in projects through us via our chapter program in the fall. Please apply via the link that Cleo has shared in the chat, OpenNLP Labs chapters. You can start a chapter in your own community and work with people in your own community to build NLP tools for social good. And as a chapter ambassador, you'll have the opportunity to lead your own projects and work on solutions that address the unique needs of your region and also be part of a global network of change makers. So in the future, we'll host chapter programs and host more such events for each chapter as well. So if you're interested in working on a project, if you're interested in leading a team, or if you're just interested in getting involved and learning more about NLP, I strongly recommend you apply via the link in our via the link in the chat. So very exciting for our fall plans. And I'd like to also invite you all to connect with us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll be posting a recap of the symposium, so many people have been asking about the recording. That will be posted in all of these platforms, and you can also reshare and post on your own devices as well. But yeah, that comes to our conclusion. So I'd like to just say, as OpenNLP Labs goes forward, we plan to collaborate with more different diverse communities. So having your input in terms of applying for being a chapter ambassador or applying for any of our other roles is really important. So if you're interested in getting involved, please visit our website or email info@openlplabs.org if you have a specific question. But I'd also like to thank everyone, especially thanking all of our students for this summer, for their very hard work over the summer, spending, thousands of hours pouring towards their projects and, really working hard with their mentors to build such impactful projects. And you can read more about our projects also on our website. So thank you so much to all of our students. And thank you so much to everyone in the chat. Thank you, David. Thank you, Minnie. Thank you, Cleo. But we'll sign off for now. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye, Arya.
Bye, everyone.
You, bye.
Thank you.